Okay, I got, yeah.
Buongiorno.
Let's have church. Let's stand and worship the Lord. He loves us so much. He just wants us to love Him back. Me and Jesus
Got a good thing going. Me and Jesus got a long way down. Me and Jesus got our own thing going.
We don't need anybody to tell us what it's all about. Jesus brought me through all my troubles. Jesus brought me through all my trials. Jesus brought me through all my heartaches. And I know Jesus ain't gonna forsake me now. Me and Jesus got our own thing going. Me and Jesus got it all worked out. Me and Jesus got our own thing going. We don't need anybody to tell us what it's all about. We can't afford any fancy preaching. We can't afford any fancy church. We can't afford any fancy singing. But you know just how many people out doing His work. Me and Jesus got our own thing going. Oh, me and Jesus got it all worked out. Oh, me and Jesus got our own thing going. We don't need anybody to tell us what it's all about. Oh, me and Jesus got our own thing going. Oh, me and Jesus got it all worked out. as He lives. Thank you, Lord. He calls us His friends. That's pretty special. What a friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. Oh, because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can we find a friend so faithful who all our sorrows share? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. What a friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, the needless pain we bear. Oh, because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can we find a friend so faithful who all our sorrows share? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Amen.
All right.
Be seated. Neil, you're up, Neil.
No, I'm up.
Tom?
I'm going to do the announcements.
Somebody's
So,
up.
welcome everybody to Biker Church this morning, Sunday morning.
Tom mentioned briefly, I'll give you some more background on it. Several years ago, I was given a letter. I may have mentioned this, repetition, forgive me, but I was given a letter, and I don't know how it got to everybody's hands, but my friend up in Cairo handed me this letter, and this lady requesting possibility if the Gideons could help her. Well, she's in Guatemala, okay? And I read through the letter, and I said, well, I don't have a passport at that time, I didn't, but how can I possibly help? And she looked at the Bible, I said, well, shoot, I got 200 countries around the world that are getting to pass out Bibles in, why not see what I can do? So, 2 texts, phone calls, and I finally got a hold of a man that I needed to talk to in Nashville, Tennessee, Mr. Trevor Johns, and he says, okay, we'll take care of it. I went home one Friday afternoon having supper, sitting at my table, and I literally cried a puddle of water in my plate. I was so excited. The Gideons that showed up that day and passed out 350 Bibles to her kids. She went to Guatemala and her husband in '87 as a missionary. Shortly after he was there, he died and left her alone. And she said, well, we come down here to missionary, and I'm still a missionary, so I must carry on the mission. Raising these kids, street kids, just right off the street, orphans, mainly all of them are orphans. Nowhere to go except go to school. My latest newsletter I got the other day, says she's now up to 800 kids.
Wow.
800 kids. They're coming from private schools, more off the streets, any other public schools. They're just flooding in because the people down there are realizing the quality of education they're providing. Several doctors, Doctors Against Borders, have gone in and they've got a full dental clinic set up now. There's doctors going down there on a rotating basis and give dental care to all those kids. I wrote her a letter, and I've generated this folder I had at the house, but I've gotten all the, for instance, Christmas letter, newsletter from her in December 2016. I've got them all in by months, and you can thumb through there. I like you all read them because they're very interesting, what they're doing and how they're doing. But anyway, I sat down after we had our meeting last week, and it was late at night, 11 o'clock, when I sent her the email about what we've done, the $250 a month commitment to give her support. And she texted me back the next morning, Neil, blessing to your dear friend in Christ. Thank you for doing such a communicate the gratitude for I feel for you remember the AYO Christian School for the funds you're doing. May our Lord Jesus Christ, you and your ministry has decided to send these funds to support them. Of course, as you remember, Neil, you were the person, not personally me, that put us in contact and made it possible for the Bibles at the Gideon's camp to your children that were so blessed. God has blessed all our children. We now have over 800 students, kinder through high school. We serve an amazing God. And from what I've read every month on all the newsletters, it is really amazing how you can go down and set up a camp. They're way up in the mountains, and one of the biggest things that they need is coats and clothing because it's so cold up in the mountains. And keep in mind that they're on the other side of the cycle of life. We're in the warm summer, they're in the winter months. Okay? So I leave this is actually belonging to the church. If anybody else has got a better idea, it's an old free reminder that I had at the house. I just threw it together. So you got like January 17, January 18, go right on top of this so you can kind of follow through every month and read, and take it just a minute to read the newsletter. Along with that, I should back up and say that we, as the finance director, or council we call it, over the years have tried to decide something we could do as a mission as a church. Well, several things just kind of like fell through. This came up and it was unanimous that we voted for this because it don't take all the manpower that some of the other projects we thought would do. So we can do this $250. Everybody pitch in for $10 a month or something. We'll reach our goal without taking money out of our budget or finances. If by chance any of you would like to have these letters be on the back too, if by chance you want to get in contact, make personal contacts and get a newsletter to your house, there's addresses and phone numbers all down here on the bottom, okay? And you can take one of these home with you. Anything else? Any questions? No?
Just amen. That's pretty cool.
Amen.
I just, from having been involved with it and talking with her, I've actually sat down in Thomasville one night and had supper with her. She came home on furlough, what do you call it? Visited. Her kids are in Massachusetts and Utah, so I've kind of gotten tied in with her family and all. But anyway, she's had a couple of kids her own that's helping out down at the school, plus she's adopted 2 or 3 native guys that speaks the language more fluent than she does. And the ministry goes on and she's excited. I'm excited for her to see what she do. I didn't know I had to wake up every morning and cook breakfast for 800 kids.
3 was enough for me.
Anyway, here we go. Today, thank you for attending and being reverently placed with us this morning. Brother Greg got some scriptures up there and we'll kind of kick off. I've been on not a mission, but kind of strolling through the Old Testament, bringing you up to date or bringing you to where we came from and the time frame for what's happening in the Old Testament. You know, as we spoke of Joseph that was in the land, he was thrown in the well, and his brothers got him out or tried to kill him by throwing him in the well. And Joseph is kind of like a little Christ, how he forgave his brothers from how they wronged him by throwing him in the well. It's leading on up to kind of into the day. So as Joseph stayed in Egypt for all them years, and then he finally got his dad in there because of the famine. And some of you might remember last week I asked you about how the first bankruptcy has been recorded in the Bible.
47:15 Genesis.
Ma'am?
Genesis 47:15.
Yeah. It was actually when the people of Egypt didn't have any money because the government took it all, and they was all bankrupt. Had no money. The government, that's the first really government handouts that we know in history, that I know of in my studies, that the government had to give everybody what the food they had to eat. And the Israelites was there building Ramesses and Pathon in Egypt, and their territory that they had inherited in the land of Goshen was something like 900,000 square miles. Pretty big area. All right. Pharaoh, and there were several pharaohs, and I went through a study 2 or 3 nights ago when I couldn't sleep. I was up reading the Bible and the study books I got. Pharaoh was just a name for the king, but in my book I had, it got all the names. And don't ask me to repeat them in what cycle they was in, okay? Just call him Pharaoh, they're the king of Egypt, and we're good to go. Of course, they ruled and ruled and ruled, and during Joseph's time, they kept promising, don't let my people go. And of course, everybody knows the statement. They hardened their hearts. Hey, Pharaoh, you ain't gonna go, we're gonna keep you here and keep you in slavery, make you make adobe tents, and finally he got so upset he didn't supply the adobe, straw and all to make the tents. He made them go out and harvest their own to build the houses and build the towns that they did. So therefore, it got the time that it was so bad that Joseph got his dad, Jacob, to come down to Egypt and live to try to survive because there was a famine in Israel. Jacob lived in the land of Egypt. Was it we on that 49:1? I had to get with you. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together. And this is the point here about life. And it was reiterated to me yesterday when my friend's mother passed away right down the road. And he gathered unto his sons and said, gather yourselves around, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last days. I'm a firm believer, and I'm not a nurse like Miss Sue was, but I believe in what I've seen, that a person knows pretty much close to when death is imminent, unless it's an accident. So Jacob called his sons in and said, well, let me tell you what it is. And you go into chapter, further on into chapter 49, he calls each one of them out by name and issues ultimatums. Here's how you're going to be. Here's what's going to happen and all. I called it the charge to his sons. Actually, the title of my lesson today is the 10 plagues. We'll get into that just a little bit. 40:33, and when Jacob had made an end to commanding his sons to gather, he gathered up his feet in the bed and yielded up the ghost. He died right there in front of him, folks. He knew his time was near. He yielded up the ghost and was gathered unto his people. Along with that, he was a fairly old man. He was 147 years old when he died. And that was in around 1660 BC. Sometime before that, he was living in Israel. He moved down to Egypt, and he lived in Egypt 17 years before he died. Verse Exodus 1:5-22, all right? And Joseph died, his son. He died at 110 years old. That was in 1606. He was apparently, there was the way I calculated between Jacob and his son. Jacob was 54 years old when Joseph was born. Because Jacob, 54 years after, he had a son named Joseph. And Joseph died in Exodus 1. Skip on over. I'll spend all day here doing this if I try to cover it all. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. Now, I got a question, and I pondered on this quite a bit. I didn't even think about it. I should brought it arising. But the way I look at it, and Joseph died, and his brethren, and all the generation. I'm wondering if all of his brothers died at the same time, thereabouts. I can't find it, but this one verse tells me, and they all died, and his brethren in the generation. The word generation goes back to the word 40 years. 40 years also means a generation. And I'll bring out many examples in a little while of generations. 40 years old was generation. Moving forward, the birth of Moses and birth roughly 1542 or 43. Two different commentators that I read has a 1 year difference in their calculations. I don't know how to get that. There must be some very, very good records in history for to go back and tell what a date, a month, and the year that a person was born way back thousands of years prior. Aaron was born 4 years earlier. Aaron and Moses' brother. I got a graph here, shows me that, I mentioned it before, about the 440 years that Israel was in bondage and struggled when they left Canaan and struggled down to Egypt, and they supposedly was exited out of Egypt in 1466. Well, here we are, Moses was born in 1543, March 6, 1543 to be exact, and Aaron was 1546, 4 years earlier. So the years of hard bondage what they was in was the last 40 years of Israel. At the time of the 80 years prior to the Egyptians, the Israelites leaving Egypt was 80 years. They were still in hard bondage for 80 years. Moses come along about that time. Moses was born right about the start of the 80 years. Why did Moses have to leave Egypt? Anybody got an idea?
He killed a man.
He killed an Egyptian. He's looking around. I'm thinking he's about 40 years old when this happened, right? I'm thinking he's looking around and he's kind of poor eyesight and I can't see nobody, so he slew the Egyptian. Well, the next day they come up and says, why, you gonna slay us too because you killed the Egyptian yesterday? Well, he ran. Now you know anything about the Nile River that goes out in the North Egypt, and it's called the Nile Delta? Down in the center part where the main part of the Nile River is the land of Goshen. That's where the Israelites were camping. Moses was born down there. We know the story where he was hit him in the bulrushes. He was born, Exodus 2, look at that, I'll read it. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was God's child, she hid him for 3 months. Well, after that, she couldn't hide him also. Verse 3, she took him and hid him in the bulrushes, and dabbed it with slime and with pitch. And of course, we know that the Pharaoh's daughter came struggling by and heard the baby crying, and there's the beginning of really Moses' life, right? 3 months old. He come into royalty, and then when the king, Pharaoh, heard that Moses, basically 40 years later, that he had killed the Egyptian, he sought to slay Moses. So Moses left the land of Goshen in the Nile Delta and went to Midian, which is the lower part of the Sinai Peninsula. Long ways. It says he fled. He fled a long ways. It probably 2,000 miles. It took a long time to get it because back in them days they was walking or riding camels, right? So he lived in Goshen. Well, Midian, excuse me. In the land of Midian, there's Mount Horeb. And we know the story that Moses gathered, I guess he was tired of walking, kind of struggling. He sat down on a rock, and here comes the man and the 7 daughters bringing the sheep out because it was their job to feed the stock, to water the stock, so they were trying to draw water. So Moses jumped in there and fished all the water for the sheep and for the 7 daughters to carry back home. And when the daughters came back to rule their father, he said, how is it that ye come so soon today? He finished his work early, and he wanted to know what happened. Anyway, Moses married Zipporah. Where we get that? What you had now?
That was the last one that you gave me.
Okay, that's good. Moving on down, we're around Exodus 2 something, 220, 230.
222 or something.
222.
Anyway, I'm moving on. I try to wing it here and tell you the story. Anyway, Moses pulled the water out of the well, fed all the flock, and gave them water. The girls got done and went back home. He married Zipporah. And then verse Exodus 3:1, it says, now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and there he came to the Mount of God, or even Horeb. They call it Mount Horeb. Well, this is where God struck Moses and commanded him, go up in the mountain and I'll give you. How long was he in the mountain? 40 days. The first time. What did Moses do when he come down? Probably something like Neil would do, right? You can do it my way, I'll do this. He threw the stones down and the stones broke. So what did God do? I'm going to send you back. You got to do it again. Make 2 more tablets of stone and go back up in the mountain for 40 more days. Excuse me, I've got all my scribbling here taking a while. How did Moses know God was calling him? Exodus 3:2.
The angel.
The burning bush. And the angel of the Lord appeared and the angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flame midst of a burning bush. He looked and behold, the bush burned, but it was not consumed. Exodus 3:2. I get the kick out of it if you go into verse 4. Have you got that on there? Okay. Exodus 3:4. There's 2 times in the Bible that I've read about and studied about. It's Exodus 3:4, and he says, said unto Moses, and Moses said, here am I. If you look at the same thing in the prophet Isaiah in chapter 6:8, you'll find that it says the same thing. Isaiah, when he was confronted, he said, Lord, here am I, send me. 2 times. So the beckoning call of God is for action. During this time here now, when he come down and go up at Mount Horeb and he wrote the 10 Commandments on the tablets and broke them, went back 40 more days and wrote it. That's the start of the second 40 years of Moses. And this also is the time when he and Moses and Aaron kept going to Pharaoh begging. I use the word begging. Please let my people go so we can go into the wilderness and serve our God. Well, God gave Moses a test. I'm thinking that this is the start of the second 40 years and Moses is up in age. Like I said, I think he had a little eyesight problem. Plus he was weak in he used a walking stick. They call it a rod, but I guess like a walking stick to us in modern time. And God said, throw the walking stick down and it will become a serpent. I'll prove to you that I am God. He threw it down and it became a serpent, but Moses was very reluctant to reach down and pick him up. That was the second commandment. You got to pick him up. He'll turn back to a rod. He did that. Well, hey, the magicians of Egypt did the same thing. They threw their rod down and become a serpent. Well, God said, here's another test. Stick your hand in your bosom and pull it out, and it was leprous. Everybody know what leprous is? The skin's white, pale. Well, oh, what more? What am I going to do? Stick it back in your bosom. You pull it back out, and it was like the other hand. You cleanse it. Well, here's a test that they could do. The magicians of Egypt. God commanded Moses to take some water from the river and throw it upon the land. It would be turned to blood. Hey, magician couldn't do that. And Moses returned at the same time when he come down out of the mountain. He was commanded by God to return back to the land of Egypt. Exodus 4:19 and 20. somewhere along there, I got it. And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go return unto Egypt, and all the men dead should be salt, which salt thy life. It's kind of hard to go back and witness to somebody that's trying to kill you, right? I would think so. That's why Moses fled to start with, because Pharaoh himself was trying to slaughter or trying to kill Moses. But Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass and returned unto the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. Why did he take the rod of God in his hand? By this time he had realized, I think, he had really realized the power that God had put in him controlling with the rod in his hand. Okay, go on and read now. We move into the 10 plagues. The plague of the river of blood, Exodus 7:19. Okay, where were we? Y'all bear with me because my eyes are watering so bad this morning and this allergies is getting rough. Anyway, river of blood, he told him to take the rod and wave it over the rivers and the ponds and the streams, and the waters would turn to blood. That happened on March 8th through the 7 days of it. People had no water. They was digging all over the land to try to get a well to get water to drink. That's March 1463. This is right after they got out of Egypt. Just trying to get the people out. What's the next plague? You might know? Frogs. How bad y'all like frogs? How would you like to have them in your house, in your bed, and table hopping around? I was riding down the road the other day and trying to get my daughter to drive the motor home. And I ain't having no part of that. I can imagine her trying to pick up a frog and get him out of the house. Okay. Anyway, frogs. Keep in mind the river of blood, the frogs, and the excrement of lice was in the whole land of Egypt. All right, the next one's the flies, the murrain, where it covered with flies in the land of Goshen. The flies, the murrain are the same thing as animal deaths, the firstborn. The boils, the hail, the locusts, darkness, and the firstborn had nothing to do with the people of Egypt, of Israel, the Israelites. It didn't affect them one bit in the land of Goshen. So you got 10 plagues, and out of 10, only 3 of them that I can recall, the way I read the Bible, is that it affected the Israelites. The other ones, they was free of it, like lice, hail, where the balls that came upon the man and the beast was all around them, but the Israelites did not have any problem. The hail come along and beat all the. Have everybody been in a farmer and had a hailstorm come through your crops?
Yeah, destroy them.
It'll beat them down to nothing, folks, I'm telling you. Well, after the hail, after the boil, the hail came, and then what next? You got to clean up the scrap, right? So God sent the locusts. So they had plenty of stalk to eat, right, to get fat. Have you ever seen a movie or on the, like National Geographic? I have, where the locusts still actually invade those countries over there. They come in droves. They're so thick, it's like black skies when they fly over. They still have the locust infestation. And then the darkness came with no light for 3 days, April the 3rd through the 5th. And then the last one where it killed the firstborn of the land, the animals, the people. By this time, Pharaoh had died and knew we came in, and he had, I barely read up the history and knew about all of it. And then the Passover. How many people fled Egypt in the Passover? Anybody got an idea? Exodus 12:37. Let me get there real quick. It's a staggering number. I've heard people quote as many times as many as 4 million. Exodus 12:37, and the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, which is in the Sinai Peninsula, about 600,000 on foot that were men, beside the women and children. So you'll figure you're talking about at least 2 million people wandered. But I've heard some people say, some preachers say it was like 4 million people came out of Egypt. But how did they get out of the Passover? How did they get free out of the land of Egypt? Because God commanded them, find you a lamb with no blemishes. If one family can't afford a lamb, you get with another family next door, and y'all share the lamb, slaughter it, put blood on the door lintels and over the doorpost, and I'll fly over. I won't kill you firstborn. That's how the Israelites was able to get out of Egypt with not even death, because God spared them, because He promised He would lead them out of Egypt. Now we're out of Egypt. We're in the Promised Land, or going toward the Promised Land. They actually fled into the Sinai Peninsula and succeeded on into going into Midian, which Mount Horeb, people was able to establish, and they watered in the wilderness. How long? Back to the 40, right? 40 is a generation of man. In the script, the meaning of the number 40 in the Bible says that it mentioned 146 times. The 40 is generally symbolized as a period of testing. What was God doing to the Israelites? He was testing the whole time. He was testing Moses in 3 cycles, 40, 40, 40, and through a trial or probation. During Moses' life, he lived 40 years in Egypt, 40 years in the desert, then he watered in the wilderness for 40 years. Moses also was on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights, 2 separate times. Remember, he carried the tablets up, come down and got upset, broke it, and we had to go back and do it again. God will make us clean up our act and redo things sometimes that we don't want to do, right? He will whip us into submission. The prophet Jonah powerfully warned in Nineveh for 40 days that it was going to be total destruction. How did Jonah get to Nineveh? In the belly of a whale, what a picture. Can you imagine in the belly of a whale? What, 3 days and 3 nights? What's that symbolize? Resurrection. Jesus in the grave 3 days and 3 nights. Okay, the resurrection. The prophet Ezekiel laid on his side for 40 nights, symbolized Judah's sins. Judah was one of the tribes of Jacob, or one of the tribes of Israel, 12 tribes of Israel. Judah was the lowest one, had the most territory in the inheritance. Elijah went 40 days without food or water on Mount Horeb. That was right where Moses was, right? Mount Horeb. Jesus was tempted by the devil 3 times, but many of these during the time, the 40 days and 40 nights he fasted. Kind of question. If Jesus was in the flesh, like you and I, could we go without food and water for 40 days and 40 nights? I couldn't, I don't think. Jesus also appeared to his disciples and others for 40 days after his resurrection from the dead. All of this is based on the numbers. The number 40 can also represent the generation of man, as we saw in Moses' life, where Moses lived 3 separate 40-year cycles, and how the people of Egypt come out of bondage after 430 years. A new generation is allowed to possess the promised land where Jesus promised and told them. Just before the days of his crucifixion, Jesus prophesied the total destruction of Israel. And 40 years later, this is in 30 AD after death, and then in 70 AD, as we all know, that's when the Romans conquered and destroyed the temple altogether. 40-year cycles. The book of Exodus we're reading about now has 40 chapters. It's the longest book. It's the 7th longest book. Except Psalm 69, 169 is the longest chapter in the book. Numbers, they all mean anything. And I don't know where you'd be interested in, but I can give you a website that I have read. God, I haven't read all of it, but I've studied and read it a lot. If you go on the website, www.biblestudy.org, it's got so much information that you can't pick out on your own to do Bible study. I mean, it's got topic after topic after topic. The home page is so huge, it's just, and anything in on the screens in the home page, or if you click in like, what's the meaning of the numbers? Just clicking on that, you can pick up, here's the page I printed out, see all the numbers. You click on any number you want, and it'll give you meaning of it. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 1,000. It's just amazing what there's a group of men that's put together this information on that website. They're asking for donations if you're willing to donate to them for help maintain it. But it would be a great Bible study for an individual to sit there and study, take one topic at a time and read, go get another topic and kind of tie them all together. That's what I do. I mean, it's very helpful to me. It's been helpful for years. Time or two before when I spoke on numbers, that's where I got my information right there. Anything else? I've enjoyed it. I know y'all can't with me speaking, but the hour that I spent on doing this was, well, I mean, I enjoy it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. And I'm getting to work anymore like I wake up kind of not ready, but this morning I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Wide awake, laid there and prayed for an hour.
Ready.
Ready. Thank you. Let's have a prayer. Father God, this morning we just praise you for the goodness of life, what you've done for us, the blessings of life, the opportunity to come and break bread and expound onto it, or what you've given us, the insight from the Bible, what it means to us. Dear God, we just praise you for the goodness that we're here, we're happy, we're healthy, we got a little church, we praise your name for all you're doing for us, for the Mondays now that people donate, that we can be spend it wisely like we're doing with the Christian school down in Guatemala. Father, just bless us, and the children that's being blessed, the health care, not only in that school, but the other missionaries around the country and the world. Dear God, be with them and bless us. And let's dismiss them with your love, we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.